We would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that Mass poetry and Salem, Mass are the ancestral territory of the Wampanoag, Nipmuc, Massachusetts, Nominic, and Akawa. Many other indigenous communities have lived and moved through this land over hundreds of years. And many indigenous people work and live in this area. Let's take a moment to honor these ancestral grounds that we are collectively gathering upon and support the resilience and strength that all indigenous people have shown worldwide. We at Mass Poetry are intentional about entering the events, or making sure the events are accessible for everyone attending and involved in the festival. We have closed capture available for this event. If you can't see them, you can turn them on by clicking the live transcribe button at the top of your Zoom screen and then show subtitles. If you would like to turn them off, you can choose hide subtitles. For everyone who is dependent on auto captures today, to ensure chat messages are not popping up over the capture, click on chat at the bottom of the screen and it will open a chat panel to the right. If you experience any trouble with this or any logistics, please send a private chat message to myself or Joseph O'Day. Regarding Zoom etiquette, please keep yourself muted unless you are invited to unmute by the speakers. There are many ways to interact with each other via the chat and the Zoom reactive button. So please feel free to use them as way of engage. Please be kind and respectful to the event producers and your fellow participants. We will remove participants for discriminatory or harassment comments, and in such cases, participants may be banned from further festival participation. Thank you and your patience, and we hope that you enjoy this wonderful event.
Hello all, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Aurora Masum-Javed. So we are going to start with just each of us reading our own work to kind of bring our voices into the space and our work into the space, and then we'll move into Sheyr Jangi and the game part of it. So I'm Aurora, I use she, her pronouns. I currently live in Spartanburg, South Carolina on Cherokee and Catawba land. An image description, I'm a dark-skinned woman with long black hair and half of my head shaved. I have triangle gold earrings and a big gold nose ring and a cream wall behind me and a plant beside me. So the first poem I will read, I used to live in Ithaca, New York, and there were like 3 kava bars, and I'd never had kava before. And the first time I had kava, all I wanted to do was talk about every good thing that had happened to me. So this poem comes from that place. After 3 cups of kava, I name every good thing I never asked for. Like Liz washing dishes, the sexy deep of the radio, that wet rag she calls a sponge, and me pretending to read, but really just watching, sinking like beach sand. Both of us stupid beautiful in our sweatpants, and all I can think is, lucky, lucky, lucky. And once I begin, how can I stop? Georgia the rescued rolling curly Q into my belly, her fur a furnace. And years before, that first boy, his fingers electric inside me, and further to when I climbed every oak, spread my sweat-drunk arms like a hero, free fall of memory, down into the watercolor smooth of mangoes, wilted box at the bottom of the fridge. I am 13, and the phantom of the opera croons from the busted speakers, the ones older than I am, and Amma is singing. So I don't have to. Say, I'm sorry, just match her off key. We know all the words, or at least we think we do. And for the first time in days, we're not yelling. She's frying Rice Krispies, our American muri, spinning the spatula above her head. And I'm on mango duty, finding the mushiest ones, their bruised, sweet blooming. Amma won't let me cut them my way, the lazy way, halved and checkered, fold out pop-up candy. No, she takes them and peels the rind slowly. They fall, spiraling, and I pick up the skins, use my teeth, suckle the meat, save the pit for her, because she knows how to get at the marrow of a thing better than I ever could. And for a moment, I see her, and how long it's been since I looked. We sing, and she stomps her slippered feet, and I keep mine stuck, bare, make beats with my hips. We've always danced differently. And once we've eaten all the throwaway things, we go in for the slippery cubes, sugar drenched and bleeding, and this is my favorite part of morning, being with her, eating with our naked hands, our chins cradles, for every good thing leaking. And the second poem is called What Language Can Break. I write what may destroy us, the colonizer's mouth robust in mine, our past twisted like a sheet. I can't remember the book I came looking for. And every time I talk to my mother, she's lost something old. Memory torn against throat skull, mouth door, headscape. She used to trip against English this way. For every misplaced noun. Telephone, stop sign, power. I demanded she find it. Object hardened into syllable. I demanded she build the bridge. As I lounged on the other side, American terror. Articulate your desire, I didn't say. And now she can't. In Bangla, I still confuse bhasha for basha, language for home. Where is my language? When is my home? Kalke, both yesterday and tomorrow. Time, a wounded wandering. What ritual do we have to remember our future? At 5, I refused my first eloquence. No one talks like you. Who would I be if my mouth could stand expansion? What girl in her might I know? What woman in myself? Oh, what English cannot bear to sing. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurora. I'm sitting with where is my language? When is my home? Hello, everyone. Salam. My name is Sahar Muradi. I go by she, her. Also, you can use my name. I'm currently calling from central New Jersey on Lenape land. And I have long dark hair. I am medium beige skin, I'm not sure. I have black eyebrows, red lipstick, long silver earrings, wearing a black and white dress, and behind me are some illustrations from my daughter, as well as some collaborative paintings we've done. Thank you everyone for being here. First poem is called, well, before I start, I'd like to dedicate my reading to Palestine and to all Palestinian peoples. This is called A Language Entirely. She notices the shamal in the trees. We call it dancing. I wonder if I could teach her language entirely in metaphor. This is a leaf yawning to the ground. You have two starfish, right and left. The clouds are playing piano again. She already gets this. Of the neighbor's umbrella on the balcony, tilted, she says, "How?" Asleep, folds her hands under her ear, head tilted. To not correct, to allow the pleasure of the construction, of the gesture, how she distills. For giraffe, she runs her hand up her neck. For elephant, 5 fingers swing under her nose. Her economy is expansive, the same single syllable for multitudes. Ma for Maudad, grandmother, ma for moss, yogurt, for Marmite, for cousin Mateen. We must train our ears to her tongue's subtleties. She builds by repetition, reinforces by rhyme. Soon, like enters the room. Sound to me like growling bear. Look to me like window. A wedge, approximate. So begins the life of separation, distinction. In February, she says plainly under our gasps, grass, trees, and barf like diamonds. Stars, moon, and bed like diamonds. To see one in another is to see as one another. We watch her eyes as much as her mouth. Mucher, she corrects me. I like ice cream mucher. The robot lost its eye. No, the robot is winking. Because to say is to see, the power of a tongue accelerating, revving repeatedly, of teeth marking the earth. We listen with the hunger of old eyes. This one is called Of Us. The silver warrant of your eyes. 2 mountains breaking words. I would meet you in a fold of desire, the sound of a skyline reddening. So when did our house begin to lose its humor? How did we end up in the attic? Your face repeating in a collection of jars on the sill. Or is that mine? Once I knew so much less of us. Half moons on your nail with surprise. There were still faint stars to discover in the minarets of your legs, the domes of my shoulders. There were no clocks, no night or day. Weren't we once infinite, flowers tiled endlessly? Didn't we bend our bodies in the direction of something unfathomable, unfettered, something as foolish as seeking? And the last one is called The Great Green Field, and it's for Soma. Here's the great green field, where at last I can remove the high heel of language. Let the body supple in its meaning, her mouth my guide. It's the mouth I live for that lives for me. Her wail that shatters wild, small heart beasting out of cage, my animal wonder every day. And if she purpled awake, not from my legs, but from the soft, medicated sheet of men, and if my mouth sealed with each breaking, each violent crashing of the news, and if the year was marked by the believers and the disbelievers, and if I believe, will no one believe in the name of God he thrust into me, and if in her buto tender hands I hang, shame on language that meets me, pulverizes me in public, revels in the republic for whom I was not natural, so naturalized me, makes of her miracle a mockery, life before life, after which islands better eaten by the sea. Say, I see you, dare daughter, hear you against all belief. Brave this thin earth devolving in the jaws. I dream you perfectly personed, in body, embodied, least secret to yourself, the most sacred. You scare them all free. Thank you so much. pass it on to Purvi.
That was so beautiful, Sahar. Thank you. Thank you for weaving in freedom in these moments. My name is Purvi Shah, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. And I ordinarily live on unceded Lenape and Canarsie lands in Brooklyn, New York, but I am currently visiting with family in Northern Virginia on the lands originally of the Manahoac peoples. And I am now sporting a new short haircut and first pandemic haircut, and also wearing traditional earrings with little bells and called jumkas, and also sparkly eyeshadow. And yeah, and I'm in a hotel, so my background is nondescript elevator art in a hotel. And I'm so glad to be here with you all today. Please feel free to share in with the chat, because we are going to be interactive and having time for engagement with you all. And so feel free to respond in the chat as you would like. Because we are playing Sheyr Jangi today, I'm going to start with a poem about games, but also about gender oppression. It's called The Poet Enters the Game, and begins with an epigraph from Stephen Nekmanovich. There is an old Sanskrit word, lila, which means play. Black blood of a star, bent light, or as we say, woman. Black blood of a star, bent light, or as we say, woman. Music coming from afar or within, and you know not. Skirts flaring miniature, circle of ardors, fertility of glances, chances, your dance as misplaced laughter, and blue wrists where your troubles return into a praise, echo, saint song. Black blood of a star, bent light, or as we say, woman. Mira says, my marriage was a scandal. My love never was. You spy a silver flute seducing sorrows and prefer your own drum, devotion as an alphabet without a final letter. Black blood of a star, bent light, or as we say, woman. Women astonish you, and then you become one. Women astonish you, and then you become one. Women astonish you, and then you become one. This next poem is in recognition of all the girls who never got to be as a result of female feticide. And it starts with this epigraph from Courtney O'Brien, which says, the United Nations estimates nearly 200 million girls around the world are missing. Saraswati marks lineage of the missing. I have known a grandmother, and two have known me. You search for missing limb, reveal a tree with disparate pattern of branches, one side whistling, the other accordion of leaves. You expect a thinning at the top, but wonder if this tree feels terribly bruised, a woman with half her hair, a woman blistering bald sense in wild stutter. Lineage often skips a relation. You search for an ancestor. In your dreams, a daughter travels. She wakes you when you need to rise, kindles in your skin scent of the tea she is about to brew. Another journeys with you on a crowded road, haggling with the vegetable seller for a better rate. She has gotten so wise in so few years. Some mothers count off years on a ruler against a white wall, children growing shoulders and span of necks. If you could mark your unmade memories, every black wall would need altars, room now for praise. A mythical river can spawn civilizations, but can a mythical girl civilize? You tell one story and hope it survives. A young girl holds the subway door for an old Chinese man who needs a few more steps to reach. The girl says, "Do not mind your battered wings. The peregrine nearly became extinct, chemical singeing generations." So you move around your pain from a womb to a shoulder. You float across aerial silks, you Pacific sky. She says, now the peregrines are returning. Fury keeps a river invisible. You bruise a ventricle or chafe a throat as you recover sore, a realm where every elbow has room. Pain is temporary, flight is not. You see trees shedding leaves you never saw they bore. You observe girls sleeping in the missing river. Shh, do not wake them. You may disturb dreams, birthing. You take out your ruler and in the unseen waters, notch each body growing. And I'll end with this last poem, which is a quick one. Saraswati nods to the white man who, after hearing her liberation poems, embroiders dowry. Even now, goddesses outlast colonialism. And I will pass it to Zohra.
Hi, happy to be here. I can't believe how incredibly beautiful these poems were. Thank you. I am calling in from Roxbury Township in New Jersey, which I'm not entirely sure. I think it's also on the Lenape line, but I have to double check because I don't have internet here. I'm in my kitchen, my overly white kitchen that I'm trying to figure out what to do with. And I am have black hair, way too much eye makeup, and a silver chain, and ready to read poetry. My pronouns are she and her. I also dedicate these poems, may they be worthy, to the people of Palestine. They've been in my heart. I've been thinking a lot about elders. I've been thinking a lot about cities and places where we only hear them in terms of war. So these are my poems. While mouthing poems rounder than breath, a stray wisp of smoke, curled like the tip of a tail, slips in with the poem of the afternoon. And I am, as I was before I was born, a coil of blue and red, internally humming. The voice, weakened by struggle, is built anew with brick from Brooklyn. The voice, weakened by struggle, built anew by breath, by the one who watches the sky for bits of turquoise to blend in with poems. This is walnuts in Nangarhar. That time I failed at rescuing a sparrow in Mulberry Bend Park. Dusty and desperate, the bird slipped from my hands despite the bare toothpick of its wings. That time I soaked walnuts for haft mewa, not knowing they were rancid. I used sinjid, jujubes, from a bag of Chinese herbs and spiked Nauruz with a fertility spell. That time I returned to check on the sparrow and found the tree cut. That time in Algom when father, a child then, picked fresh walnuts with the mountain girls, who showed him the thin green skin between shell and walnut, then rubbed it on his lips and cheeks, giggling. In a hand mirror, he saw himself stained pink. The girls circled around him, clapped in unison, and teased him. A delicious trick that kept its color a full week. That time so long ago in the season of walnuts. And this one is just like Jalalabad. The American that went to Jalalabad wrote, "It looks like New Jersey." What would he have thought of Afghans living in Parsippany? This was 1922. Of course, there was no Cold War then to boil Afghanistan down to the bones. So there were no Afghans in Parsippany yet. But I think he needed to meet some Jersey Afghans to see if they agreed with him. In Jersey, my dad sat by a small waterfall and said, once there was a man in Safed Kohl who was so powerful in faith that he turned the waterfall back upwards, just with the utterance of a prayer. Now, Kiran, my journalist friend, tells me that she was in Safed Kohl, and it's not a place for mountainside picnics. Mountains are for bunkers, weapons, the falling teeth of warplanes. She sends me photos of checkpoints from her phone, but I am still thinking about my father's story of my grandfather by the waterfall in Safed Kohl. So I say, see, it's a bewitched place. There is a spell, a talisman, to keep people from reaching it. She shakes her head and tells me, no, you need to go and see for yourself in New Jersey. And the last poem is a pandemic poem for Ocean Parkway. I think during this period, it was very difficult. I think living in South Brooklyn, so Ocean Parkway became a very precious place. Every day at 4 p.m., we take a walk on Ocean Parkway. We see the joggers masked and maskless, the Uzbek and Tajik mothers and grandmothers, the Hasidic women power walking, and the Pakistani families out for pre-dinner walks. On this day, months into quarantine, I reach down into the curb and lift the blanket of the sidewalk in one upward turn. I shake the old tissues, the boxes of eaten food, the old masks and gloves off of Ocean Parkway, and start to fold it like an elaborate rug. The more I handle it, the softer it becomes, the more pliant. Now this parkway of cars and trees and endless benches is a silk scarf. I rip off the edge like paper and fold it, fold and fold and fold it with my father helping me. He teaches me a talismanic knot. We tuck it into a triangle. He whispers prayers over it. I cut a piece of blue sky and a piece of the concrete and stitch them together. On the bench, Father sits to write a protective prayer with saffron ink. The talisman is complete. We bundle it up and tie it on the highest tree branch with string we made out of the plastic bags. We walk back home satisfied with ourselves and pray in the pre-dawn blue for protection to hold and for the rain to be gentle on us. That's all my poems. Thank you.
Breathless. Thank you, Zohra. Thank you for those protective prayers. Thank you, Purvi. Thank you, Aurora. I'm just so delighted to be in your company, in your literary company, and in your friendship. And I'm so delighted to transition us now into our game. So, as you know, the title of this event is called Sheyr Jangi. And Sheyr Jangi is a poetic duel form that dates back to medieval Central Asian courts. It's a game that's practiced actually throughout the region of Central Asia, South Asia. In Afghanistan, we call it Sheyr Jangi. Sheyr is the word for poem, and Jang is the word for fight or battle, or war, if you will. So Sheyr Jangi is a verse battle. On the Indian subcontinent, we have Bazi, which is very similar. In Iran, it's Basobet. So there, and Bazi is play. So some people play it, some people fight it, but the point is that it is a form that has thrived, survived for generations. In fact, these forms in that region can be traced back to pre-Islamic Arabia, where you had the Zajal tradition in Arabic, when caravans would go between cities, and in addition to trading fruits and vegetables, or goods rather, people also traded verses. So we are giving a nod to this long lineage, this beautiful tradition. And I'm also, I actually wanted to invite folks, because we've been invoking mothers, fathers, elders, ancestors, and now this ancestral form, that also just to transition into the space, if you'd like to just, whether in the chat or just internally, like invoke for yourselves an ancestor, a person in your lineage or in your borrowed lineage, or a form, or a literary tradition, maybe we can just bring those people and places and times with us here. So I'm just going to hold space for a few seconds for us to do that. Thank you. Yes, Mirabai is with us. We have many radical poets in this room, I think. So the way that the game works is that you usually have two opposing teams, and one person on the first team will share a line or an excerpt of a poem. And you have to remember, in these cultures, particularly in Afghanistan, folks have this repertoire of memorized classical poems. So it's on the tongue usually already. We, in this North American US tradition of no memorized poetry, rely on our books and our song memory. So I think, it's the oral tradition in this room. So a person from the first team would recite, and then whatever letter or sound that they ended their poetry recitation with, someone from the opposing team would respond, beginning with that sound or letter. So for example, and this is only because I was with our musical ancestor Belinda Carlisle earlier. So for example, like, ooh, heaven is a place on earth. Earth. So we have the th, or the sound, and then the opponent would say, they say in heaven love comes first, right? So the carries over. So that's traditionally how it's played. The teams would go back and forth until they ran out of, until you get like an X or something in the English equivalent. Or there are judges, actually. Usually in these contests, there's a few judges, and then they also judge based on your presentation. So we'll keep things simple and fun here. We will, the point is really just to share lines as they come to us, so I'm going to actually turn it over to Aurora, because we'd love to show you how it works, and then we'd love to invite you to play with us.
So I will start with a living ancestor. This is Tarfia Faizullah's Scene, which is probably, I would say, one of my top 5 favorite books. And this is the last 2 lines in the book, in the collection. The moon filled the dust-polluted sky, a ripe, unsheathed lychee. It wasn't enough light to see clearly by, but I still turned my face toward it.
Toward it. So we have the T. Purvi, you're my teammate. We have a T. Come on.
There is no frigate like a book to take us lands away, nor any coursers like a page of prancing poetry. E.
So then
Yeah.
I have a poem. All right. Since we're going with E, we can also go with we. We're gonna blend the rules a little bit as long as the sound and the rhyme is fine. So weaving song with sign, making flight of letters in line, her own sky in which she is the sun. Na, sun.
Nah, nah. Nah. No one knew me like she knew me, and she hardly knew me. I just made that up.
I love it.
Wah, 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 wah.
E.
E. We'll keep going a couple times and then.
Are you pinging it back to me?
Aurora and Zohra. Yes, either of you.
E. Okay, hold on.
I'll just make one up too. Even the tongue bleeds. So
Nice. Bleeds.
Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. You give love a bad name.
That's cheating. That's a sh.
Poetic license.
You need a scene. All right. What was the last letter?
Said the what? E?
That's the scene versus a sheen. But okay, I forgive you. Where did you end?
Where did we end? We said shot through. You give love a bad name.
yeah.
So yeah, we don't have to be literal, not E, but M.
I got it. My mother and I were rolling out rice flour rotis at dawn as usual for breakfast. The first of the women begins.
Begins, right?
Begins, yeah. So often. Oh wait, this is like one of my own lines. I'm trying to remember. Hey, audience, lifeline.
What's the sound that you ended with?
On S.
On S?
Mm-hmm.
Since her house dress hid men and secrets, she prays with Mardi Gras beads and still plays the lotto with our fates, her kiwis and grapes.
Ooh.
So good, Rina.
That's
Thank
perfect.
you.
I think you got it. It looks like maybe we should now move into the game with everyone. Yeah. So, does anyone have any questions on how it works?
And then we can either you can do the chat if you want, or if you want to unmute and say your line out loud, that is also possible as well. Great. If anyone has any questions, feel free to also drop them in the chat. Thank you, Sahar, for leading us in that history and also example.
Thank you. Thank you all for beginning the game.
So I will give you a couple of lines in translation into English from a Mirabai poem, and then we can use that as the start.
And just to clarify, there won't be teams. We just go popcorn style. Okay.
Yes,
Sorry.
good clarification. Okay. Thank you, Sahar. Listen, my friend. This road is the heart opening, kissing his feet, resistance broken, tears all night. Night.
Tomorrow the sun rises, the moon sets, another day passes.
Passes.
Oh, I have it. Scratch the city's face and unearth its ancestral names. But all the record keepers turned into ants. I'm trying to get S again. This needs to be S.
Actually, maybe we can take from Kara ants. There's a T preceding that S. So, Kara, I don't know if you'd like to read it or one of us can read it.
Sure. I may not have all the words exactly right, but tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forge of the night, what awful hand or eye wrought thy fearful symmetry? William Blake, and I don't know if I have all the words.
Thank you, you do. That's the only poem in the English language I've memorized. You got it. Symmetry, E. Everybody hurts. Take comfort in your friends.
Friends.
From Tarfia Faizullah again. Sweepers haunting through glass doors, arcing across gray floors, faint trails of dust we leave behind. Duh.
Thank you, Anisha. Let's see. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Chi.
See you again.
There's sand every morning on my father's toast, the grainy hello of time on his teeth.
Lovely. And who's that from, Kate?
That's Laura Kashiche.
Oh, awesome.
It's a book, Fire and Flower. And the title of the poem is Burial.
Awesome. Thank you. Teeth. So
There is not enough time to contain what must be vanquished, to unshackle all the birds and song which remain trapped in our lungs.
lungs. And Rena, who is that from?
That's for me.
Yay, so beautiful.
Beautiful.
Lungs.
I have one. Salt smell and blackbird calls, high, sweet, blow in with the wind, ruffling and shushing a mockingbird's sharp litany.
And is that yours, Kara?
That is.
Lovely. Litany. Knee.
So we have another E or Y for poetic license.
That's right. Or the knee.
Or the knee.
Well, if we take poetic license, I can say, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you go. So go. Oh.
Oil Heavy Starlight from Danette Smith's alternate names for Black boys.
It's beautiful.
Starlight, right, Anisha? That was the
Yeah, Starlight.
So I'll say this is from Aga Shahid Ali's prayer rock. Those intervals between the days, 5 calls to prayer, the women of the house pulling thick threads through vegetables, rosaries of ginger, of rustling peppers, in autumn drawing for winter. Winter.
I'm really tempted to do it.
Do it.
Row, 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 row your boat gently down the stream. I'm gonna stop there before I haunt you with my voice.
Love it. Stream. Oh, was that your own, Sahar?
That's Soma's.
Yay, Soma. Stream.
Mouthing yes, yes, as we toddle toward the light,
Mm.
biting her lip, if we teeter at some edge, longing to sweep us to her breast, she hopes for the best.
Mm.
That's Tracy Smith's Life on Mars.
Lovely. Best. Also a T sound.
Best would be if I, a middle-class white Jewish woman, 75, could make peace with all of you and all of your nations.
Nations. And is that yours, Anita?
Mm-hmm.
Nations. Thank you. This is also from Mirabai. Saffron of virtue and contentment is dissolved in the water gun of love and affection. Affection.
Newborns, we need fresh bread. Life grows from the dead as the living get led into death. That's Rumi.
That seems like an appropriate place to pause. That's quite beautiful. Also, just the idea of life coming from the dead. I feel like we invoked so many literary ancestors and living ancestors and just drew new life from lines. So thank you so much, everyone. Give yourselves a hug. That was beautiful. It was so wondrous to see all these writers and poets and yourselves, all of us in conversation with each other like this.
10 more minutes.
I think we're going to, Purvi, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So we're all going to just share a poem to close on. And Zohra, I have you first, and then Aurora, and then me, and then Sahar to close us out.
10 more minutes.
Okay, thank you, Lily. So go ahead, Zohra.
Okay, I'm reading a poem by Robert Boris, who is a dear friend and runs Upset Press. So it's Tour of Light. A woman who wanted to fly became a poet, weaving song with sign, making flight of letter and line, her own sky in which she is sun, sharing light.
And I will read a poem of my own. Taproot for all my loves, especially Sasha. I picture you at our table, your thick salted locks down to the small of your back, your kiddo crawling between the chair's chipped red legs, cerulean crayon tucked beneath his chin, ready, prepared, an artist from the day he arrived. I imagine us cackling ourselves to the floor, you repeating truth again, again, giddy at my giddiness. It's all our fault, you say. It's always been our fault. Through time's unhinged longing, we've become kin. And this home, which is my home, is also yours. Every winter when the Chicago snow leaks in through the window's cracked sealant, you come here. This year, your mother too. frying up plantains in the kitchen and my own small child cooing in her crib. Soon, Lisa and Jay will clamber through the swollen oak door. Too many bags for just a weekend, so they'll stay longer, all of us bowing to the beach's irreverent prayer. We'll walk side by side like this, through tide and miscarriage and madness and decade. I dream this house now because I am alone, because I have been alone most of my life. I dream this house because I will love you until I am ash. I've spent so many years half dead, buried beneath my fear, love's carnivorous demand, my heart's tepid scarcity. I don't know how to unlearn it, so I do what I can. I pick up the phone. You play us a song, some old Britney remix, born again, and in our faraway homes, we dance the way we did once in that strange white hippie town. The club, PBR stained, nearly empty and full of grace. The church that is midnight and bass, how we twerked against the wall every Saturday in December until we couldn't stand, until we dragged our sore thighs home, sweaty, spent, a little less depressed. We may never live in the same city again, but we will be a family, whatever shape that takes. We will eat and fight and weep. We will grow into the give no fucks crones we've always wanted to be. I see us now, 90 on a porch, smoking cloves, howling into the spark-studded night, brazen, ancient, alive.
Oh my God, so beautiful. So this poem of mine echoes with yours, Aurora, and also Zohra. I thought of it because of the sparrows that you mentioned. Saraswati rendering between sparrows. Every house shares a haunting. You smell childhood waiting to fly away. The police lights do not respond to the raised voices in the wall. Neither do you. You have opened foreign banks, offshoring memories, believing your own songs are unremarkable, small, narrow, unworthy. In your closets, bullied selves melting, you navigate mythologies as if they could be, as if the story is just beginning, or if in the blink of an eye you missed all the vital parts, perhaps even your only way home. Call and trill, trill and call and trill and call and relent, and you wish. You know not the names of birds serenading your walls. You have begun surveying from your glass to the church raising its steeple as a fist, this keen beak at your back. You move between sparrows, curtain and flight, transcendence and nameless, haunting and home. Sometimes a bed tastes of island, how two can enter from split shores, how conversation feathers your rooms of hope, notes hemming or heaters whirring, gathering their secrets before blowing steam. A signature, a voice. When the bedroom plaster parts, clusters of dried bruise, your tongue remembers its time as a wing.
Thank you.
I'll just close with one poem and then this is a ghazal for mothers and tongues. It may be a broken, a shrill mother tongue, but I'm raising my daughter in my ill mother tongue, translating Seuss and Nagara on the fly. Sheyr Jangi, I'm fine, but at zebra I'm still mother tongue. The air is English, the water too. How will you get past her gill, mother tongue? Morning and night I call Madad. What's the word for guilt, mother or tongue? A bat is a leather butterfly, turtle a stone frog, Dari, one, English, nil, mother tongue. We are writing our own kitab, you and I. Oh, the things they try to kill, mothers and tongues. Papa, climb zina, Get moon, she instructs. I'm over the matab, each sprinkle of mother tongue. Nafasim kiast, I ask. Soma Ali, she beams. Yes, she is my breath and my dill, a mother's tongue. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to say, may you play on. Thanks for sharing space with us and playing with us and bringing in your words and those of those that you love. And we hope that you'll continue to enjoy the poetry of the festival. And also, yeah, please pass on the game. It's a way we can keep it alive.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Poets, thank you so much to the speakers, the hosts, and volunteer. If you have a website, social, or a link to a book chat, please put them in the chat box now so that people can follow up with you. Can we get a round of applause for our poets, our teachers? Yay! Don't forget to support the poets directly by following them and buying their books. There is plenty more amazing programs happening this weekend. If you're interested in attending more events, check out our website. You can also visit the virtual Small Press Fair. Listen to the Improbable audio tour. Visit the Ephrasia Gallery and more. Please follow Massport on our social media account and sign up for our newsletter. If you haven't already, the link will be listed in the chat. Any donation goes to support not just the festival, but year-round poetry programming. Thank you so much to the speakers, the hosts, and the volunteers for coming to the event, and the poets. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
I'll just be keeping the Zoom room open for another minute or so, just in case anyone wants to grab any of those links.
Thank you, Joseph, Willie, Donna.
Thank you all. It was wonderful.
Really fun. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you, Aurora, Sahar, Dora, who I think already fled.
Thank you both. Oh my gosh. You got, yeah, that's exactly what I want to say. Oh, it's like delicious and powerful and I don't even know, like intoxicating listening to you guys.
What was the last line, Purvi, about the tongue that remembers it was a wing?
A time, yes, it's time as a wing. Yeah. But also, and Sahar, your last piece, oh, that, what is the word for guilt? Is it mother